Deb Cooper with the Canine Chronicle, bringing you a table talk update regarding canine partners in junior showmanship. And I have quite a cast of characters with me today. I want to thank each of you for joining us today for what I hope to be a really good 15-minute discussion about why or why not canine partners in junior showmanship. So I'd just like each of you to quickly introduce yourself, tell me what your involvement is now, how long you've been involved, and how you got involved. Maribeth, why don't we start with you?
Okay, thanks, Deb. I'm Maribeth O'Neill. I'm the Vice President of Sports Services. I am the staff liaison to the committee, the junior subcommittee of the delegate body. I actually was very fortunate. I was born into the sport of purebred dogs. So I actually attended dog shows in utero. And was dying to participate. I grew up showing dogs and was fortunate to be able to go to work at the American Kennel Club.
And up in the left-hand corner, I have Doug and Taylor Johnson. Why don't you each tell us a little bit about yourself?
You can go first.
My name is Doug Johnson. I'm the breeder of Bugaboo Old English Sheepdogs and Rocheuse Bouviers. I've been involved into this sport as a breeder and a handler. I originally started off in about 1972 with our first Old English Sheepdog. 1976, I obtained our first Bouvier. I've been fortunate enough to obtain Breeder of the Year in 2006 and 2016. And my family, my children have been involved, and my grandchildren are involved as far as in the sport of purebred dogs.
Taylor?
Okay, I'm Taylor Johnson. I'm 13 years old. I am the third generation of Bugaboo Old English Sheepdogs. I am a current participant in junior showmanship. I've been participating for about 3 or 4 years now.
Great. Okay, and Tiffany and Toonie. Toonie, tell me about yourself.
Toonie Conti. I got involved with dogs when I was about 5 years old because I had a sibling that worked at Celebrate Boxers. One thing led to another, and now I am an AKC registered handler and a junior showmanship judge.
Tiffany?
I'm Tiffany Carden. I'm 26. I entered my first dog show in 2011 when I was 17. I've been mixed breed. I showed in 4-H. We do obedience, rally, trick dog, all that good stuff.
Great. Dasha?
Hi, I'm Dasha Molinerich. I got started in the sport about 4 years ago when I was 17 years old, junior showmanship. I'm currently an assistant to Amy Rutherford, and I was not born into dogs. I was self-started a few years ago.
Okay, and you started in UKC, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, so you started in UKC with a party color poodle, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Maribeth, I'm not going to ask you, but Doug, Taylor, for or against?
Go ahead, Taylor.
I'm personally 4. I think it
Doug?
can do tremendous for the breed.
I'm 4 also.
Tiffany, for or against?
I'm 4.
Jenny?
4.
Dasha?
Against.
Okay, and for the purposes of this discussion, while I personally am trying to keep an open mind until we see how the pilot program goes, for the purposes of today's discussion, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So if the discussion needs to go in one direction or another, that's going to be my position for today. Now, what I would like to do is read quickly the initial announcement, which was the AKC board approved at the January 2021 meeting a proposal by the delegate junior subcommittee and AKC staff to allow canine partners to be exhibited in junior showmanship. This will be an 18-month pilot program. The dog must have an AKC canine partner number and meet the ownership eligibility criteria. The junior will include the breed of dog is being exhibited as on the entry form in the breed designated space. This is the same approach that has been successfully used by 4-H participants. Eligibility of canine partners to be entered in confirmation junior showmanship is limited to all breed shows or events holding all breed junior showmanship. Judging Operations Department will be providing procedural information to all breed junior showmanship judges. Now, since that announcement came out, the implementation of the pilot program has been delayed until January 2022, and opt-out language has been added to the decision to start the program. So, Maribeth, I don't know, you may want to just for a minute address why the program got pushed back and what the opt-out means.
So absolutely. You know, there was a great deal of, I'll be polite and say unrest by some of the community, our dog fancy, and with interesting concerns. And so opt-out means that when a club, an all-breed club, applies to have their event, as they did, it's the same way that participation of canine partners in companion events, which is obedience and rally, was currently, still is, that if a club chooses not to allow canine partners in those classes, they opt out. So they actually have to make a decision at the time that they're submitting their application. It was recommended, the committee, the subcommittee supported that recommendation, but that will require some programming of our systems to maintain that information so that it's being handled correctly internally. So that will take some additional time, which was not originally going to be necessary. So that has pushed us back to a start date of January 1 of 2022, which is I think will also help us share some additional information with all breed clubs, and what we would hope that all breed clubs will take the initiative to reach out to the 4-H that may exist in their communities and really invite them, engage with them, help prepare them, et cetera, for the opportunity being offered.
Okay, Dasha, why don't you quickly tell us how and why you initially got involved in the AKC sport of purebred dogs, and what your initial experience was?
So, as you said before, I started in UKC and I met someone who brought me along to an AKC show, and I was just absolutely infatuated with all of the beautiful show dogs and how nice everybody was. So I started showing my party-colored poodle in AKC Juniors, and I started late, so I had to learn a lot in a short amount of time. And as I progressed as a handler, I was getting told a lot by and other like judges and just spectators telling me that a big part of why I wasn't put up over certain people was because of my dog, because he is a disqualifying color and because people are not used to seeing it.
Okay, and that, go ahead.
No, that's just the big thing.
Okay, Maribeth, did you want to?
I just initially am, I feel it's very unfortunate that you received that kind of feedback from judges, because that's certainly not what they are instructed, and that the dog's quality is not supposed to come into play. But be that as it may, that's what happened, and I'm just glad that you're with us and that you wish to continue to participate in our events, and that didn't discourage you completely, because I think there's some people who would have walked away and not remained in our sport.
And I think that when Dasha and I had our preliminary conversation, that was basically her primary concern when she says she's against the program. Is that correct, Dasha?
Yes.
Okay. So
to clarify, you were concerned about what judges would say?
Well, and the spectators.
Okay, that's fair, and that's absolutely a concern.
Mm-hmm.
So Dasha, you, I believe, have competed like at Westminster and other large events, and you had a party color poodle, and then what?
So I started off with my party-colored poodle, and I had enough people telling me that I should get a new dog. So I found a handler in Southern California who was willing to let me work for her and use one of her poodles. And once I signed on to that dog, like, it was just a complete 180. Like, I started winning a lot more, and I started getting more recognition from the judges and spectators. And that was the only way that I was able to complete my 7 Best Juniors to make it to Westminster. And at Westminster, I showed a different white poodle. And if I would have had my poodle, I feel like I could have gone a lot further if I wasn't worried about his color being taken into consideration. And then at Florida, I had to show a different breed because I wasn't able to find somebody to let me use a dog. So I had to show a Quezon, which I know it's still non-sporting, but my breed is poodle, so that was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Got it. Okay. Toonie, you are a judge for junior showmanship. Are you worried about judging during, like, in a class because of this addition? Say January 2nd of 2022, you have a judging assignment, you walk in, what is your, what is your feeling? Are you apprehensive about it, or?
When I first heard about this back on the Brooksville circuit, I was like, whoa. But I went and I talked to our field reps, and they explained it. Myself, when I judge junior showmanship, I asked the superintendent for a list of breeds because I have a very limited list of breeds I show. I don't show bulldogs. I don't show standard poodles or Old English. So, for instance, when I judged Westminster last year, the preliminaries, I had that list of breeds and went around and asked fellow handlers, breeders, owners, all right, how do you present, the field spaniel? How do you present, what else did I have? A black Russian. And went and watched those breeds. So I was very concerned about that. But it says and again, it's a pilot program, that it will be identified as a breed. So it's a pretty simple answer. If you have a child in the ring with a mixed breed and they identify it as a Labrador, it might not be the prettiest Labrador you've ever seen. It's not going to win Potomac, but you show it like a Labrador. And my first dog was a Labrador who wasn't a very good Labrador, but he was shown like a Labrador. So, and Dash, I'm really sorry that you had that experience with juniors by judges, because there are some judges that they shouldn't be judging juniors. Keep an open mind and try to help the kids.
Okay, Tiffany, you started in 4-H and then showed in juniors at AKC. Is that correct?
I did not show in juniors. I wasn't able to.
So you showed in 4-H, but you never showed in juniors for AKC.
Correct.
Okay. And is there a reason why you never got into AKC, and what would that be?
I had a mixed breed dog. And my parents wouldn't allow me to have another dog. So therefore I was kind of limited with getting into juniors because I didn't have a dog to show. I could have put my name on a dog, but I didn't want to unless it lived with me and I trained it, and I went right into AKC, into the breed ring.
Do you think you would have showed in juniors if the opportunity would have been offered to you with your mixed breed dog?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I really wanted to.
Okay. All right, Doug.
Yep.
You've been around the juniors ring a little bit. Now I think you've put through 2 generations through juniors, haven't you? So, you've seen the junior showmanship program evolve, if you will. And I believe you also do have a great amount of involvement in 4-H.
Right. I've gone ahead and I've been fortunate to, out here in Colorado, we're kind of a country state, so I've been fortunate to go ahead and judge the county fairs with these kids as far as in 4-H groups. I've been president of the Colorado Springs Kennel Club, which we've gone ahead and we put on handling seminars as far as with some of the top handlers around the country and here in Colorado. I've had 4-H advisors ask me if they could go ahead and bring their 4-H kids to our seminars, and we've welcomed them with open arms. We've gone ahead and we've done everything we possibly can to help promote not only purebred dogs, but also junior showmanship. As being a person that's 68 years of age, we're not getting any younger as far as into our group. And there's not a whole lot of young people coming along as far as into our sport. And I'm sorry that she's gone ahead and she experienced what she did as far as the junior showmanship, because I, as a father and a grandfather, really have a problem with it. I think that as far as the junior showmanship, it's the ability as far as with junior handlers. And we've gone ahead and we've tried to incorporate juniors into everything that we possibly do. And not only because I've got great grandkids that go ahead and participate into it, but because I believe as far as in the youth of our sport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Taylor, so you're, as you said, third generation Bugaboo Old English Sheepdogs, and you've got big shoes to fill. You have been showing. How old were you when you showed your first dog?
I was 5 years old and I showed a little Havanese.
Okay. And I also believe that you are one of the youngest to go best in show. So you have got a very well-rounded career in dogs at the age of 13, which is absolutely wonderful. You've come from exactly the opposite kind of family that Dasha came from, who did not come from a dog family at all. So, tell me about, how are you going to feel when you are competing in junior showmanship with your Old English Sheepdog and somebody new comes along with a dog and you're not exactly sure what breed of dog it is?
Well, personally, I was lucky enough to have great mentors, and I think that if these kids get an opportunity to grow to love our sport as much as we do, they can have the education of finding a wonderful breeder that can help them. As far as in the show ring, I think it's like Toonie was saying, if the breed represents a Labrador, they're going to be showing it as a Labrador. I think that juniors need to have an open mind and be willing to help these new kids, because there's a very good chance that it's the next generation of our sport.
There it is. I mean, it's big shoes to fill. I mean, you would understand that better than anyone else. And, if we're in it for the long haul, we're in it for the long haul. So thank you for that. And, you're one of those kids can always look to for a little bit of help, and identifying you as that figure is indeed helpful. Dasha, what are if you had to list your primary concerns about the program, what would they be? And I want to give Maribeth the opportunity to address those concerns.
Yeah. So my first concern is obviously young kids getting discouraged, because we do have some judges that are very traditional and like to see their purebred dogs. And even when you see like some mixed breed dogs walking around the dog show, you can see people kind of like scoff at them. So there's that. And then also, we love our purebred dogs. We love the predictable temperaments. We love the predictable structure. With mixed breed dogs, a lot more of the time they have temperament issues that either the owner doesn't know about because they adopted them from the shelter. So I'm a little bit worried about the safety of the other children and the judges and the other dogs in the ring as well. And so, like you guys were saying, if it's listed as a Labrador, you show it as a Labrador. One of the examples I had currently was, let's say someone has a 50-50 golden doodle and they want to show it as a golden retriever, but they have a kinked tail that hangs over their back, so you can't exactly hold the tail out to flag it. Then will a kid get penalized for not being able to show the dog like a golden retriever? I just feel like there's too many variables in breed showing.
Maribeth?
So those are great concerns, and I appreciate your bringing those up. So we plan on having a lot of education for our judges, and hopefully even and I know there are a few that have already thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. But there's been a lot of discussion as to procedurally and how to interact with all children and do it in a positive way. So your concern about safety is one we're always concerned about, and that is drilled into the judges as far as they are responsible as a judge of junior showmanship for the safety of all the dogs and children in the ring. If there is any concern that there is a child in the ring, be it today, next week, or in 2022 when we start this program, it's the judge's responsibility to excuse that child from the ring, regardless of whether it's or a purebred dog. I mean, and it's something that, of course, would be upsetting for anyone. I've watched it happen a few times now, and it's unfortunate. You know, it's that younger child with a large dog that they just physically can't control. And I think it's unfortunate that some children are put in those circumstances. So. And then your third point was in regards to the presentation of the individual breeds. And I think that could actually end up being a very positive learning experience. And I hope it's something that we will address with our judges, that they take that as an opportunity to help educate that exhibitor in the future and say, you know, you put down that this dog, you're presenting this dog as a golden retriever. However, you need to consider its physical, how it is physically, and that you can't feasibly do that. So, you know, this is what you did that was very good. And in the future, maybe you should think that you're showing this dog as a different breed because of its physical structure. So that's relying a lot on our judges to be able to implement this well. And as I said, we have discussed with the Judging Operations Department things that we are going to be communicating with them to help make this as positive an experience for everyone that we can. The other thing I just want to is that, you know, we're assuming all of these young people are going to be starting in the novice class, and frequently the novice exhibitors, it isn't so much breed specific presentation that they end up being evaluated on, as far as who's just able to get through this first class, you know, as far as are they able to set their dog up and move it at correctly. So there's an education process all through this, I think, for everyone. And we hope that there'll be a lot of support from the clubs that are offering this to help get these young people and introduce them to people who will help them with both their dog, find a breed that might be appropriate for them, and engage with them.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
So
my job to say sure, but
absolutely.
My very first AKC show was in Bakersfield. I had my party colored poodle, and after the first day of showing him, I went up to the judge and I asked, like, what could I have done better? I knew I was a novice and I didn't know everything. And one of the first things that she told me was that I wasn't showing my poodle poodly enough. I set up the dog, I moved him at a correct speed, but she told me that the reason why I didn't get anything was because I wasn't showing my poodle poodly enough, like grandstanding and stepping back and doing all those sorts of things that poodle handlers do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I think that, you know, a junior's bad experience or somewhat negative experience, you know, can be attributed to the dog they're showing because of all of these things, but there also can be, you know, other reasons why that happens as well. So, you know, I mean, Dasha, you've come again from, you know, up ranks that are, you know, completely different than Taylor's, for example, and you're still with us, and we're fortunate of that because, you know, the concern here, Maribeth, and that is probably the one, you know, I mean, we want to get people involved. We don't want to turn them away. I think we all use that now more so than ever with all exhibitors, not just juniors, right?
Absolutely.
We've talked about ways to try to address that concern. You know, as people that are in love with our sport and supportive of it, I think each and every one of us is going to take that to heart, and hopefully, you know, Dasha, based on your experience, you know, you're going to, you know, keep an eye out for those kind of people as well. The key, I think, is whether individuals are for or against communicating why you're for or against directly to those who are going to make recommendations that shape what this ends up being are important. So, you know, I mean, Maribeth, we have offered you as a contact individual and Nancy Fisk, who chairs the subcommittee on junior showmanship as well. And to everyone, if you feel for or against, negatively or positively, you know, please do communicate those concerns or endorsements to Maribeth and Nancy. And if there are other suggestions, I think is always the key, right? Other suggestions that may be comparable to this or otherwise, you know, those are the kind of suggestions that we're looking for. I think a discussion for another day that I'd like to have with all of you, if you're willing, is, you know, let's make some suggestions. Let Maribeth, you know, kind of give her feelings on that and try to get that ball rolling as well. You know, folks out there who are not involved in this roundtable, if you have great ideas as to how you think that we can keep our sport alive, you know, reach out to me, because we'd love to add you to this group and have those kind of public conversations to try to get that thought process going. With that, does anybody have any final thoughts that they'd like to add?
I do.
Okay, please.
Shocking. Toonie has something to say. I just want to say one thing I do, especially with my novice kids when they walk in, and I think this should go across the board, is I say to them, it takes a lot of courage to do something new. Now, for those kids, it's stepping in the ring. For other people, I don't know how to swim. I'm scared to death to swim, and I should take my own advice. But encourage them. Be nice to them. Even if the pilot program doesn't happen, which I hope it does, still be nice to them, because we need new blood. We need new kids. I'm 46 years old. Tiffany is the youngest member of our kennel club, and she's the only one probably in there under 40. So guys, get out there, get new blood, get involved with your kennel clubs, and be nice.
Great.
I agree. I agree with Toonie. You know, we're a dying sport with a lot of aspects with people that's involved, and I think we need to bring our youth into it. One thing you have to remember, and I grew up as far as onto an area in Idaho that we had a lot of dogs, but I didn't have purebred dogs. I had a lot of mixed breed dogs, and I love those dogs just as much as I do my purebred dogs. But as I went ahead and I got involved in purebred dogs, I made a choice to go ahead and go along that line as purebred dogs. Now, I'm in a business as far as it deals with muskies and non-purebred dogs. And I tell you what, these owners, they love their dogs just as much as anybody else does. And as far as these children that go ahead and come into these programs, these kids come in with innocent minds. It's what we go ahead and we do as an adults in our sport that's going to go ahead and make these kids either want to stay with purebred dogs or to push them away where they say, you know what, I don't want to be with that. I'm going to stay with my mixed breed dogs. I would like to think that we go ahead and recognize that we have the opportunity here to develop future purebred dog breeders. And once again, it's not all these kids are going to go ahead and stay with purebred dogs, but I would like to go ahead and help educate them, help mentor them, help encourage them so that our sport continues to grow.
Indeed. Taylor, anything final to add?
I just hope this is everything that I think that juniors are going to have a huge part in helping other kids, whether it's just helping them get into the ring or helping them get their number their first time. I just hope that everyone can have an open mind and help all these young kids.
Great. All right, everybody, I thank you all for the time that you spent with us today. And keep those ideas coming. You know, send them to Maribeth and Nancy, and let's try to keep the sport alive. We'll see y'all soon.
I'd like to thank Deb, I'd like to thank Mary Beth, thank everybody who's been on this panel. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you all for your time, and we will see you soon. Until next time.